Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. Today we're discussing Helm and Hoar. Helm being the protective god, a god of defense, and Hoar being the deity of retribution. So let's discuss. Helm, also known as the Watcher, he of the unsleeping eyes and the vigilant one, Helm is the god of vigilance and protection, often worshipped by paladins, knights, or bodyguards, anyone that comes to the defense of other creatures. Helm is a guardian and a watcher. He is lawful neutral, favoring his duty over acts of good and bad. Priests of Helm are taught to be ever vigilant, aware, and prepared for their enemies. Patience is always rewarded over rushed actions. These traits don't necessarily make nice people though, and many consider the faithful of Helm to be inflexible and merciless, much like Helm himself. Helm is often viewed as emotionless, devoted only to his duty at the cost of all mortal consideration. However, this is just a facade, and Helm is not heartless, but merely a stern disciplinarian. Helm is depicted as wearing a full suit of armor that represents the weight of his heavy responsibilities. Helm has become well known in history as the guardian that blocked the gods from re-entry into the Outer Planes during the time of troubles. He was the only deity that wasn't stripped of his power and forced to walk Faerûn as a mortal. Instead, Ao put him in charge of guarding the portal that led back to the Outer Planes to prevent the gods from returning to their celestial homes until the tablets of fate were found. This resulted in the death of Mystra. Mystra had acquired some divine power she hid away on Faerûn and thought she was strong enough to bypass Helm and return to the Outer Planes. She was not, and Helm destroyed her by punching her through the chest with his gauntleted fist, exploding her body. Epic. Because of his actions against Mystra, certain dead magic areas today are known as the Legacy of Helm. Helm had a setback after the time of troubles. Many of his followers left him in search of other gods after it was revealed what he had done. I don't believe it was necessarily the death of Mystra, but in general, not allowing the innocent gods back into the Outer Planes pushed followers away. Helm had further setbacks when his remaining clergy started subjugating and conquering the region of Maztica. People saw Helm as being somewhat evil and started worshipping other gods in his place, such as Torm. Prior to the time of troubles, Helm was a well-respected faith in most areas of the north. His temples were situated to offer protection and defense against evil people and creatures. Many fortified abbeys and temples in cities are home to clerics that make excellent guards or leaders. Despite Helm's setbacks, his followers strive to be fair and vigilant. They must protect the weak, the unpopular, the injured, and the young. To follow Helm is to anticipate attacks and be ready for foes unknown. Never betray your trust is the guiding phrase for faithful of Helm. Helm's devotees always follow their orders, provided they follow the will of Helm. Helm's wishes are often revealed to his faithful in an on-the-spot prayer. He is very responsive, sending a quick vision, especially when his faithful are facing conflicting orders. Helm's clerics pray for their spells early in the morning or just before going to sleep. Helm is opposed to the plots of Bane, Cyric, and Shar, anything that would destroy Faerûn. The Church of Helm is organized into a strict military hierarchy, and each member has a determined rank. Helm kind of feels like a military god, following orders, lawful neutral, you get the idea. Up next is Hoar. Also known as the Doombringer or the Poet of Justice, Hoar is a lawful neutral deity much like Helm, but his followers are very different. Worshippers include assassins, fighters, rogues, and anybody seeking retribution. Hoar is a vengeful deity invoked by those who seek to repay an eye for an eye. Where Helm upheld the law at seemingly all costs, Hoar upholds the spirit of the law. Fitting recompense will always accrue for one's actions. Violence will meet violence, and evil will pay back evil. But good will also come to those who do good. Vengeance must be sought for all injustices, and punishments must fit the crime. Hoar particularly enjoys revenge with a hint of irony. I imagine Robin Hood in this example. King John is overtaxing the kingdom. His fitting punishment is to have most of his wealth stolen and returned to the people. Would Robin Hood worship Hoar? Or a more nature god? These are the questions that keep me awake at night. Hoar is actually an ancient Unthuric deity. The Unthur was an old empire of eastern Faerûn. They were brought from Earth by the Amaskar Empire looking for slave labor. The Unthuric gods were initially barred from contact with their followers by a planar barrier erected by the Amaskari. They bypassed this problem by sending physical manifestations of themselves to Terrell via the astral plane. For Hoar, all you really need to know is that he was an Unthuric deity that was driven away by another god, Ramin, the Unthuric god of war. He somehow wound up in the Faerûn Pantheon after this and stayed there ever since. This probably occurred as worship of him spread outside of the Unthur Empire, allowing Hoar access to the divine portfolio of vengeance. Hoar has a handful of scattered temples, but many of his followers are wanderers who travel the realms. You can approach one of these followers and ask him to pray to Hoar on your behalf. This is common as most people seek vengeance but don't know where to start. For a small fee, the follower of Hoar will hear your plea and decide if aid is needed. They might aid themselves or simply allow the will of Hoar to play itself out. Charlatans who would try to scam a follower of Hoar are quickly punished by the god himself. Hoarists seek a fitting punishment for the criminal in question, which doesn't always mean direct aid from the follower. It is generally believed that the more permanent the form of the prayer, the more likely it is to be fulfilled, so you'll see plenty of prayers to Hoar etched with lead and buried or hidden inside diaries. Hoar clerics pray for their spells at midnight when the bells toll for those deserving of fitting justice. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I super enjoy crafting these videos for you guys, so I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.